I've never been a fan of Illumination Studios and their output, but they do know how to utilize the free advertising already there and add what they can without it being too much. The boys recently made fun of the Marvel Phase announcements, and I love Marvel, particularly in the way they've structured their film series and how they announce new ones to come. But I also think it's hilarious when it's being spoofed. And Minions also did it wonderfully. Welcome to Sandwich Reviews. I'm the Talking Sentient Sandwich, and while the marketing might be good, I thought that Despicable Me 4 was a safe, lazy, and coincidental movie that never took any chances. It's strange because the first movie is genuinely good, but the second, third, and now the fourth have all been unfocused, to say the least. There was an amusing scene in a karate dojo, and that highlights exactly how the studio's fast-paced, high-energy animation and motion can work. But for the most part, it just comes off as needlessly exaggerated. The whole story is also a jumbled mess of insane storylines, most of which begin entirely by coincidence, and any sense of conflict comes from that coincidence or just was lazily slapped in by the writers. I'll give Illumination the fact that their character designs have always been interesting, but everything else in the animation just doesn't quite work. There's a certain sheen and gloss over everything that makes it look almost cheap. There is clear effort and care behind it all, but I couldn't help but notice it when I was watching this movie. Along with that, there's a Looney Tunes aspect to the humor where anything is possible and no one is ever in danger, and sometimes that is fun, but that carries over into the dramatic stuff and stops any chance of there being tension. And I'm sorry, but the Minions are unsufferable. I mean, that's not even the fault of the filmmakers, though they are quite annoying at times in this. It's the Facebook moms that have ruined the whole idea of the Minions. And they have their own thing going on in this movie so that the superhero craze can be capitalized on, and also so that they could be made into toys. However, I did perk up when the Cyclops one was being a leader. I'm glad Cyclops has been getting his well-deserved resurgence. Hope it continues. Plus, I did enjoy the scene that followed where the Minions failed to save anyone. There were some good jokes there. Regardless, whenever someone references the animated kids movie Minion from the year 2000, we all know who we're really talking about. But if you have kids, take them to see Despicable Me 4. They'll have a blast. Otherwise, I would not check this one out. And though you probably don't care, here's a spoiler warning in case you don't want to know any more than I've already discussed. But as far as spoilers go, first off, I gotta talk about how they introduced a character peering through a window at Gru, and my first thought was, oh my god, is that the girl from the Lorax? But it wasn't. It was just a random new character that blackmailed Gru into doing a heist. And not only was that out of nowhere, it felt like it only happened because the plot demanded that it should happen. It sort of ties into the overarching villain, but it didn't add anything new to the narrative, and it certainly wasn't necessary considering how already bloated the movie was. And maybe it was just because I never watched any of the trailers, but the villain is revealed to be a bug man, and I just had this look on my face for the whole scene afterward. And speaking of the villain's whole thing was just rushed. That could be down to his lack of screen time, but it came across as if the filmmakers wanted Will Ferrell's Maxime to be this integral part of Gru's life, but he was no one. Just like how they introduced a long-lost brother in 3. And all you gotta do is look to Fast and Furious to see how you can only have so many important figures come back from your past before it gets old. But what really didn't work for me in this movie was how the entire thing hinges on the premise that Gru and his family need to relocate. And while it does make a little sense that Gru would want to protect his family from the Bug Man, the whole time I was just thinking how weird it was that Gru, the genius supervillain, didn't just try to go after him and capture him like he did at the beginning of the movie. I mean, I get it. Gru loves his family, and him wanting to bond with his stubborn newborn son is a large element of the movie, but I just was not a fan of the plot. Overall, I think I was too harsh on Kung Fu Panda 4. I can't say I wished this was better, but I was at least hoping that this would make for an enjoyable afternoon. And it did not. But if you've seen it, what did you think of Despicable Me 4? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for weekly video essays and reviews, and enjoy a delicious sandwich.